Well, good morning everyone, and welcome to this week's shed adventure. Just making myself a grand cup of tea because before we start we need to have one of those serious, difficult conversations that adults occasionally have. And that's to do with dunking of biscuits. Yes, I'm sorry. The world may be going to hell in the handcart, but we have a major shed adventure issue here. 2 questions. 1, is it right to dunk a biscuit? That's a tough one. And secondly, more importantly, what it says here is digestives, the original. Now, I can tell you, might not be a pretty sight this, but this is not like the original. I have been doing exhaustive dunking tests, and if you, and I shouldn't speak with my mouth full, so I apologise, I'll keep my lips together. If you leave this in for any more than a few seconds, goes soft and wobbly and falls off, and you end up with a sludge at the bottom of your cup of tea. So we need to have a think. Is it right to dunk biscuits? Why did people ever dunk biscuits? Is there an historical reason we're not aware of? Perhaps biscuits were hardtack and a bit rotten. I don't know. However, what I do know is that I think McVitie's were the best dunking biscuit, and I have to say I'm not sure anymore. So let us see. Be keen to hear your views. Right, enough frivolity for one shed adventure. So what are we talking about? Well, we're going to talk about this, and I'll explain what this is in a minute. Lots of people say to me, not lots, a few people say to me, how do I get all these bits and bobs in the shed? Where do they all come from? Well, the answer is I've lived a fair old few years, and I've been on a few adventures and been about the place, and you just gather up these things. But look, I was out cycling, and I was cycling on an A road close to here, and I was coming out of a village called Chitton. And anyone who knows the area knows that coming out of Chitton back towards Shrewton and Salisbury, it's a hill. It's a proper, genuine heartbreaker. And I was puffing my way up. So I wasn't really looking where I was going. I was well into the curb because it's a busy old road. I had my head down and I was breathing. Yeah, I wasn't doing great. But I was staring at the floor, not really looking ahead. And I looked down into the gutter, and this caught my eye. So what is this? Let me try and show it to you. Well, that is the business end, I would surmise, of a 5-0 round. Hold on a sec. That's the case. I think that would be a blank. And that would, in a proper case and shell, that would fit in the end there somehow. So that to me is probably a 5-0. So why have I got it? What is a 5-0 bullet doing on an A road in Chitton? And what else could we learn about it? Well, it's really, really difficult for you to see, but I don't think you can catch it, but I can see grooves swirling around the copper casing. So what that shows to me is that this has actually been fired. So these grooves are made by the rifling in the barrel of the weapon that shot this, in the gun barrel. So inside a gun barrel, if you look down a gun barrel, it's not a clean tube, it's not a smooth bore, not like a shotgun. It actually has a groove wound into it machined into it. And a bullet isn't a loose fit inside a barrel, it's an interference fit. So if you take that and try and push it down the barrel, you'll struggle. Because what it actually does, it engages with the grooves in the barrel, the rifling, and that imparts a spin, because the rifling goes like that, and that's trying to get down, and it comes out with a spin. Why does it come out with a spin? Well, just like a gyroscope, and I don't pretend I can explain exactly how a gyroscope works to you, but the spinning makes the round far, far, far more accurate. So this comes out spinning, and when barrels on guns heat up, lots of people think it's because of the propellant and the hot gases, which indeed it is, but also a lot of it is to do with the friction caused by hundreds of rounds a minute coming out the end of a machine gun, and the friction of the rounds running all the way down the length of the barrel, gaining speed, and of course spin. And that's why a barrel can first overheat, and why barrels wear out. So particularly on guns, artillery guns and tank barrels, they wear out and have to be replaced. And if you look on an artillery shell, it'll actually have here a nice copper band called the drive band, and that's the band that will engage with the rifling on a shell. And if you find walking around in France a First or Second World War unexploded shell, don't touch it obviously, but you'll see this copper band and you'll see the grooves. So you know that it's actually been fired, and it's a dud and didn't explode. So we have this, and I have to say, it's a bit of a mystery. A 5.0 bullet, it clearly hasn't hit anything. There's no damage to it whatsoever. But from my knowledge and my understanding of ballistics, this shows every sign to me of having been fired, because I cannot see any other way. The grooves are going the right way. This has gone down the barrel of a gun, and now I find it in the gutter of an A road, coming out of a small village in Wiltshire. It's clearly not brand new and shiny, so it's been lying on the ground somewhere for a while. So I'm stumped. How did it get there? Did it land there? Well, there's no ranges in the area, and I'll be honest with you, the army ranges are so safe and people are so careful, and they have these huge butts, these huge banks of sand, and in all my army career I've never really known rounds to leave a range. And obviously behind ranges they also have miles of ground that's kept separate from people, so anything that does go astray. So I don't know is the answer. So there is our mystery. If anyone's got an idea on how that's going to have found its way onto the side of a road, please let me know. But this now just joins all the other small items that we've got in Shed HQ, and forms another mystery object that we can talk about. And that's how things just turn up if you keep your eyes peeled. So that's really all I was going to talk about. A very quick shed adventure. We need to initiate a discussion about biscuit dunking. Should we dunk, should we not? And what is wrong with the current McVitie's digestives, because they're not right. Is it still the best dunking biscuit? I don't know. Maybe it's been taken on by bourbons. Bourbon's a nice dunking biscuit. That's got a harder shell. Krispy Kremes, don't know. Ooh, fig biscuits, don't know. Maybe a not very serious conversation. But there we go. Now, what are we going to talk about next week? Well, I'm looking outside and I'm waiting for a break in the weather. So I've noticed that it is 40 years of Wild Country. So Wild Country have been in existence for over 40 years, and their key tent that has been in existence for all that time is the Quasar. So I had a look, thinking, well, I know Wild Country tents, we've used those on our expedition. So I had a look in Shed HQ, and what did I find? A big pile of expedition tents in one of our blue barrels. So we're going to get those out, we're going to spread them out on the ground. I think they're probably 40 years plus. And we'll have a look at these Wild Country tents that we lived in for a year in the Antarctic, see how they stood the test of time. And I've spoken to Wild Country, and they'd like to see the video. They've also sent me some brochures back from 40 years ago to show the various tents that they had on sale then. So that's what we're going to do in the next Shed Adventure, something a bit more serious. And after that, well, we're out with the canoe. I've threatened this several times. I now have the roof rack on the vehicle. So we're going to do a bit of canoe refurbishment. She hasn't been out for 3-4 years, maybe a bit longer. So we need to do some refurbishment of the canoe, some refurbishment of the gear that goes with it. And we'll go and explore some of the beautiful rivers down on the south coast of England. And I hope you'll enjoy that. So we've got a great summer coming up. So suggestions on dunking biscuits and the best, and how did that arrive on an A road in Wiltshire? Thank you very much, everybody. A very short Shed Adventure, not very serious. If you enjoyed having this conversation with me, please like and subscribe. And if the weather holds good, we'll either be out in the canoe or we'll be putting up some 40-year-old tents in the garden and seeing what we can learn from those. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye now.